Do not push God on your prodigal while they're prodigaling. Foremost, when a prodigal leaves you, leaves the family, goes to drugs, does whatever, it's a battle against God and not you. So you cannot take the very thing that they are running from, the very person, even though they don't think that's the person they're running from. They could say that it's you and they hate you, but you cannot stand facing both truth and darkness, light and darkness, truth and deceit, all at the same time. God is here, Satan's here. When you leave your marriage, for instance, God wants your marriage reconciled. So turning to go any other direction means you're turning away from God. Now, I am not saying that there aren't some spouses out there that are jerks and you've got to just, get out to get safe. I'm not talking about abuse this time, but I'm talking about mentally, I need to just get some sanity for a time or to separate or whatever. I'm talking about those that are consciously saying, I'm leaving, God's okay, you're the problem. They're walking away from God and they're rationalizing that it's okay. So the last thing you need to do is say, well, God said the marriage this, God says this, God says adultery is a God. They'll be like, I am fine with God. Well, some of them might say that. Some of them might say, I don't care about your God. But for the ones who profess to still be Christians, I've got this. God and I are good. So when you have to try to reason with them for a time, you cannot use logic. You have to be silent. You have to go to prayer. You have to, quote unquote, love them by loving ways. You might be on your knees to God asking for those loving ways, but you don't have to mention God's name when you go out and love. For instance, your spouse, you find out, even though they're having an affair with someone else, and you find out that they're sick. And you just feel that the best thing to do would be bringing them some soup. Whether or not they respond to the soup, you heard from God, go love her, go love him, bring them soup. They may pour the soup out, they may not taste it, they may taste it, they may not let you know, they may not thank you. It doesn't matter. That is giving them God, because you just did something Christ would do. Because remember, the rest of the world would say, don't you go bringing them no soup. They're the ones that are stepping out on you. That's the world. You cannot use an argument that the person isn't going to listen to. God will reveal himself to that person, and you must be on your knees. I mean, drop into your bloodied knees and praying and fasting and almsgiving. Doing everything you can, but you don't go and tell your spouse, well, I'm praying for you. I'm fasting for you. I'm almsgiving for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't use God as a weapon. Let God use you as a weapon to love. Prodigals are not logical when they leave. They're acting on emotion and passion. And if I step outside of just talking about the spousal relationship right now, any of our prodigals are rebellious teenagers. Our friends, siblings who are, again, I talk about addicts frequently. God does not want toxins and poisons in their body, but they're running to that. You can't run to something that is ungodly and to God at the same time. So first of all, just recognize which direction your prodigal is facing. They're either facing God or they're facing away from God. Then figure out what God would have you do to bring them back. That doesn't always mean mentioning God's name. Not yet. Eventually, his name will be revealed and their eyes will be opened. You may not even be the one that is going to open their eyes or say, well, I was praying for you that whole time. the Lord will let them come to that realization on their own. And you then will look more humble than proud, because you're not even telling them how much you prayed and fasted and alms gave. So remember, prodigals are not logical, so they're not going to hear your arguments. Don't push God down their throats when they're not ready for God. Just love them. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching this informational Bacon Bit. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.